Morning Pantsers, it's Tuesday. This week is Hobby Week, and after I announced it last week, I've spent the rest of the week trying to figure out what I was going to talk about. And I realized that I don't really have hobbies anymore. I used to have lots of hobbies. I mean, there were a lot of different things that I was interested in and that I had tried out, and some of them stuck and some of them didn't. But I mean, I used to have lots of hobbies, that were things I was really involved in. And now, I kind of don't do any of them anymore. I used to knit a lot, and I kind of don't anymore. Partly because I have a lot of problems with my arms. I think I have carpal tunnel and or tendonitis. And so I can only knit a really small amount for a really short period of time, which really bothers me because I really like knitting and I find it incredibly relaxing. I don't even read as much as I used to. I mean, I used to read all the time. And now I don't even really do that anymore because I don't have as much free time, and the free time that I do have is kind of spent dealing with other stuff. It's not really free time. And so I kept thinking about it all week, trying to figure out something that I do, and I realized that I just don't really have hobbies anymore. Hobbies take money and energy generally, and I don't really have either of those things. So I've kind of just gradually stopped doing the things that I used to do, and that kind of bothers me. And I hadn't really realized how extensively that was true until I started thinking about hobbies this week. So I don't know what I'm going to do about that, but I'm going to do something about it because I am uncomfortable with this not having any hobbies thing. Phoebe, I wanted to mention, I wanted to talk about what you talked about in your video, but first I want to say happy birthday! You talked in your video about how sports make you feel better after a national tragedy, and how, people coming together as players or as fans or whatever gives you that, that uplift, that sense of community. And I mean, I'm not a sports person, the only team I root for is the Swoodley Poopers. But I get that. And obviously, I mean, it's not confined to sports, but sports, I think, is maybe the most visible example of it on a national level. But John said it in one of the early Vlogbrothers videos, and it's still true. A lot of life is about doing things that don't suck with people who don't suck. It's one of the things that I love about Nerdfighteria, and it's one of the things that I love in the world in general. I love that feeling of having a group of people who are all really invested in whatever the activity is that you're doing together. And I think that that feeling is something that can be incredibly uplifting and fulfilling and helpful in times of crisis, when you're sad, when something terrible has happened, and there's been a tragedy of some kind. I think that's one of the reasons that sports are so popular. One of the reasons why sports are something that people turn to when something bad happens, like you were talking about after 9/11 and after Boston. I think that that's one of the things that people sort of gravitate towards, and I think it's because there's such a sense of community and the feeling that there are other people with whom you belong and who are part of the same thing that you're a part of and who care about it and care about each other. I get that feeling a lot from Nerdfighteria, which is one of the reasons that I love Nerdfighteria so much. You guys have probably seen already, but Oliver is now on Twitter, so now I think all of us are on Twitter. I've added him to the list already, and also I will put a link to his Twitter. Also in the doobly-doo, I will put a link to a free ebook version of Welcome to Sanditon in case anybody wants to read it. Next week's theme is A Day in the Life. Have a great week, everybody. DFTBA.